Good evening, everyone. We will be learning about T cell receptors, B cell receptors, and the epitopes in this topic. Here you can see a diagrammatic representation of both the B cell receptors and the T cell receptors. If you look at their structure, both of them have similar parts. There are variable regions and then there are the constant region, and then you have the transmembrane domain and the cytoplasmic region. So before we start to understand what is the structure of TCR and BCR, let us first understand what are the similarities and the differences between a T cell receptor and a B cell receptor. To talk about the similarities, that both T cell receptors as well as the B cell receptor we call it as antibody because the antibodies are the circulatory form of the B cell receptors. B cell receptor, structurally it is also called as the immunoglobulin, and in the T cell receptor as well as B cell receptor there is a variable region where there are different parts, there are different chains which together comprise the variable region, and there is a lot of rearrangement of the genes in this area that leads to diversity in the T cell receptor as well as B cell receptor that helps the T cell receptor and the B cell receptor to recognize and bind to different types of antigens. If this kind of rearrangement was not there, in that case we will not have so many different types of T cells and B cells. So actually speaking, there is only one gene which codes for the T cell receptor, but within the gene, when the gene product, that is your mRNA, is produced, there is so much of rearrangement of the sequence that every time the gene product is produced, because of these rearrangement, there are different forms of the sequence. There is a lot of variations in the sequence. That leads to different types of T cells bearing different types of T cell receptors which can recognize a large number of antigens. The same is true for B cells also. So in both the T cell as well as in B cell, you will see that in the variable region there is the V region, V domain, J domain and D region, as well as in the constant domain there is the C region. And during the process of development, during the process of formation of this T cell receptors and the B cell receptor, there is a lot of gene rearrangement in the V, J, D regions, and that is what is necessary, which leads to formation of so many different types of T cell receptors and the B cell receptors. That is one similarity. The other similarity is both T cell receptor and B cell receptor, both of them, they have on their tip a small region which is called as the CDRs. CDR stands for complementarity determining region, and these CDRs are hypervariable in nature. Hypervariable means no two T cell receptors will have the same CDR, and this variability or hypervariability in the CDR is due to the chain rearrangement that is seen in the V, J and the D regions of the CDR. And the third similarity is both TCR and BCR, they have the ability to recognize an enormous variety of antigenic determinants, and by now you would have understood why they have the ability to recognize so many different types of antigenic determinants. That's because of the hypervariability of the CDR or the complementarity determining region where the antigen binding domain is present. So these are the similarities between TCR and BCR. The differences between TCR and BCR are listed here. One of the major difference between TCR and BCR is TCR is always membrane bound and they are present in very small amount, whereas your BCRs, they can be either membrane bound or they can be secreted in a very large amount, which we call as the antibodies, which are secreted in response to an immune antigen recognition. The second important difference is TCR, they recognize binary complex and bind. They cannot bind to antigen alone. We have already understood this in the previous class. And TCR can bind only to an antigen which is presented by an MHC molecule, either by an MHC class 1 molecule or by an MHC class 2 molecule. An antigen which is bound by an MHC or an MHC class 1 or class 2 will only be recognized by a TCR, and only then the TCR can bind to the antigen MHC complex. Whereas when we talk about a BCR does not require MHC to present an antigen to it. It can directly recognize an antigen and bind to it, and it can recognize and bind to both soluble as well as particulate antigens. This is the second difference. The third difference between TCR and BCR is TCR does not function alone. It is associated with many other accessory molecules like CD3, CD4, CD8. All these are co-receptors which are mandatory for the TCR to function completely. Only when the co-receptors are present and active, the TCR, when it recognizes an antigen MHC complex, it will activate the T cell completely. Whereas the BCR does not require or it does not involve accessory molecules. If accessory molecules are there, they only lead to increase in the degree of activation, but they are not mandatory for activation of B cells through BCR binding to an antigen. And the final or fourth difference between TCR and BCR is TCR, as you have understood, they are MHC restricted. That means they can get activated. They can lead to activation of T cell only when an antigen is presented via an MHC molecule. Whereas the BCRs, they do not require an antigen to be presented by an MHC. They can directly recognize an antigen alone and go and bind to it. So these are the differences between TCR and BCR. Right? Now let us talk about the structure of TCR. As you can see here, there are two classes of T cell receptors. One is called as an alpha beta T cell receptor, and the other one is called as gamma delta T cell receptor. Okay, and structurally the T cell receptor has four important regions. One is called, the topmost is called as the variable region or the CDR, where the CDR is located. Then you have the constant region. These two are present outside the cell. Below this we have the transmembrane region, and inside the cell you have the cytoplasmic tail, right? And on top of the variable region is the CDR, where you have the antigen binding site. Now you can see here in the center, what you are seeing is the major chains of the T cell receptor. In this example, we have shown the alpha beta T cell receptor, and on both the sides you can see the CD3, which is a co-receptor, and CD4, which is also a co-receptor. CD4 interacts with MHC molecule when TCR binds to MHC antigen complex. So this is the structure of a T cell receptor. Sorry. Okay. So as you have seen structurally just now, it is a heterodimeric molecule, And in the human body, 95% of the T cells, they carry alpha beta type T cell receptors, and only 2 to 5% of the T cells will be found carrying gamma delta T cell receptors. Major is only alpha beta T cell receptor. And the T cell receptors, they carry the variable domain, where you will have the hypervariable region. There are 3 hypervariable regions, V, J and D, and then you have the constant domain, and this is followed by the transmembrane region, which is approximately 20 amino acid long, and finally you have the cytoplasmic tail, which can be approximately 5 to 12 amino acid long. And what you are seeing here are the structures of T cell and the B cell receptor. On the right hand side you have the T cell receptor, and on the left hand side you have the B cell receptor. This is just for you to understand structurally how they are similar. In both the cases, you will see on top you have the variable region, which is followed by a constant region, and then you have the transmembrane region, and finally you have the cytoplasmic tail. So as I have already explained, the T cell receptor there is a lot of diversity found, which is due to the gene rearrangement which is found in the variable region. Variable region, in case of alpha, there are 2 chains or 2 regions, which is called as V and the J, and in case of beta, there is V, D and J region, and other than that there is a constant region. In case of alpha, there is 1 constant region. In case of beta, there are 2 constant regions. Okay, and the T cell is not individual. T cell receptor is not an individual protein. It requires additional proteins, and together they form the T cell receptor complex. So other than T cell receptor, that is the alpha and beta or gamma and delta regions, you also have the CD3, which has the zeta chain, and other than this you have the CD4 and CD8 regions. And as I have already told you, gamma delta T cells, they comprise only 2 to 5% of the total human T cell population in circulation, and most of them which are present, they will be found in the epithelial tissue. So here is the diagrammatic representation of the TCR gene. You can see the red region is the V region, and then you have the green, which is the D region, and then the yellow, which is the J region, and in between you can see the C, which is the constant region, right? Now what you are seeing here, the 3 chains, the 3 chromosomes, they are representing the mouse TCR. The first one is the mouse TCR, alpha chain and the delta chain, and the second one is the beta chain, which is present on the chromosome 6. The alpha and the delta chain, they are present on chromosome 14. The genes representing these chains, they are present on chromosome 14, and the last one is the mouse TCR gamma chain, which is present on chromosome 13. And here is a simple diagrammatic representation which shows how the gene rearrangement is taking place. So in the center, what you are seeing, I'll just show you. What you are seeing here, this is a T cell which is expressing the T cell receptor, and here what you are seeing is a gamma chain, and you can see in the gamma chain, this region and this region are joining during the rearrangement. So this entire portion is removed or deleted, and this region joins with this region, right? That leads to formation of a totally new gene which will have a different sequence. Similarly, at the bottom you can see beta chain. Again, in the beta chain, 2 rearrangements are taking place. First rearrangement is joining of D and J, and the second rearrangement is joining of V with this newly formed D chain. That results in formation of a totally different gene sequence, which will give rise to a totally different variable region. So this is how gene rearrangement, which is a very random process, can lead to variability in the CDR region of the TCR. That is how, even though there is only one gene coding for the T cell receptor, alpha chain or beta chain or gamma chain or delta chain, but each of the TCR will have the ability to recognize and bind to different types of antigenic determinants. So this is the region where you can find rearrangement taking place in case of TCR gene, right? And as I have already explained, T cell receptor is a complex which is formed by combination of different molecules like CD3, CD4 and CD8. CD4 and 8 are the co-receptors, and CD3 and other molecules are all the accessory membrane molecules. So here is again a diagrammatic representation of how T cell receptor binds with antigen MHC complex and how the co-receptor CD4 or CD8 will interact with MHC to activate the T cell. And this diagram I have already shown you. In case of T helper cell, the antigen is presented by class 2 MHC molecule. In case of cytotoxic T cell, the antigen is presented by class 1 MHC molecule. And other than that, you can see lot of other co-receptors as well as other accessory membrane molecules which also interact with the T cell, which leads to activation of the T cell. And here are the diagrams of CD4 and CD8. And this table will give you the difference between alpha beta T cell receptor and gamma delta T cell receptor based on various properties like antigen type. What kind of antigen can be bound by alpha beta T cell receptor and that by gamma delta T cell receptor, right? So please go through this table. Coming to B cell receptor, as you have already understood, just like T cell receptor, B cell receptor also has variable region as well as constant region, followed by the transmembrane region and the cytoplasmic tail. And what you are seeing here is a general structure of a B cell receptor. It is composed of a membrane bound immunoglobulin, which is represented as MIG. MIG stands for membrane bound immunoglobulin. And it also has a disulfide linked heterodimers called as Ig alpha, Ig beta. The right hand side, the small membrane bound protein which is called as a disulfide linked heterodimer called Ig alpha, Ig beta. And each of these heterodimer, it contains immunoglobulin fold structure and cytoplasmic tail, which is much longer than that found on membrane bound immunoglobulin. And each membrane bound immunoglobulin molecule will always be associated with one heterodimer Ig alpha, Ig beta, right? So this is the general structure of a B cell receptor. And this B cell receptor here, as I have already explained, Ig alpha chain, it has a long cytoplasmic tail, as you can see here, which is around 61 amino acid long, whereas Ig beta's cytoplasmic tail is shorter than Ig alpha's, which is approximately 48 amino acid long. And the tails in case of both Ig alpha and Ig beta, they are long enough to interact with other signaling molecules. Okay, and pre-B cells are the type of B cell which are in the initial stages of maturation, and the receptors which are found on the pre-B cells, they are called as, or they are not completely formed like we have seen the structure in the previous slide. These B cell receptors which are found on pre-B cell, they are called as pre-BCR. Structurally, if you see, they are slightly different from the B cell receptors. The pre-B cell receptors, they contain a surrogate light chain. You can see the one which is shown in the red color, that is called as a surrogate light chain, which consists of V pre-B polypeptide and lambda 5 polypeptide. The surrogate light chain, it is made up of two polypeptides. One is called as V pre-B polypeptide and the other one is called as what is that? Sorry. The other one is called as lambda 5 polypeptide. And both of them are non-covalently associated with the pre-BCR. And whenever there is activation of B cell by binding of an antigen to the B cell receptor, just the way we have seen in case of T cell receptor and activation of T cell, the antigen can directly bind to B cell receptor through cross-linking. By binding to two B cell receptors simultaneously, it will activate a cascade of event which will lead to phosphorylation of the ITAM sequence, which is the cytoplasmic tail of the Ig alpha and Ig beta, which will then get activated through phosphorylation and will then further activate other secondary signaling molecules like SRC kinase and SYK kinase, and which will then further activate other molecules like FYN, BLK and LCK. And all these molecules will then further activate other proteins, cytoplasmic proteins like BTK and BLNK, which is abbreviated as BLINK, which on phosphorylation will activate PLC, phosphorylation. This we have already understood that PLC, when it gets activated, it will go and cleave PIP, which is a membrane bound protein. PIP on cleavage by PLC will lead to formation of two proteins, DAG and IP3. DAG is involved in PKC mediated pathway and IP3 is involved in calcium mediated pathway. And BTK will activate GEF molecule. GEF is involved in activation of small g protein pathway, and all these will lead to activation of other proteins and genes. So this is how B cell is involved in activation of B cell. B cell receptor is involved in activation of B cells. Then just the way we have seen that in T cell receptor, it requires various co-receptors. Similarly, it has been found that even the B cell, it can be, or its activity can be increased manifold by interaction with certain receptors, co-receptors. What you are seeing here, there are basically three co-receptors of B cell, which are called as CD81 or TAPA1, then CD21 or which is also called as CR2, and CD19, which is all these three together forms the B cell co-receptor. TAPA1, CR2 and CD19 together they form the B cell co-receptor. How do they function? This co-receptor, this B cell co-receptor molecule CR2 or CD21, it has the ability to bind to a complement protein called C3d. C3d, when it binds to CR2 or CD21, it will help in binding of this B cell co-receptor to the antigen which is bound to B cell receptor. So I'll repeat it again. B cell co-receptor is a complex of three membrane proteins called TAPA1, CR2 and CD19. This CR2 can bind to a complement protein called C3d. When this complement protein binds to CR2, it can initiate binding of this co-receptor to an antigen bound to BCR. And this total binding, what you are seeing here, this complete binding leads to increase in the activation signal of B cells around more than 100 to 1000 fold. right? This is how a B cell co-receptor helps in activation of B cells at a much higher rate. At the same time, there is also a B cell inhibitory co-receptor which is called as CD22. CD22 is an inhibitory B cell co-receptor. This CD22, it also has a cytoplasmic domain which on phosphorylation can activate another protein called SHP1, which is a deactivating phosphatase enzyme. What is the job of phosphatase enzyme? The job of any phosphatase enzyme is to remove the phosphate. So when this SHP1 gets activated by activation of CD21, SHP1 will go and remove the phosphates from the ITAM region of B cell receptor. When the phosphates are removed, the B cell receptor is no longer active, and hence it cannot activate other signaling molecules. Thus, the B cell activation is inhibited. This is how CD22 functions as an inhibitory B cell co-receptor, right? So, the B cell co-receptor which activates the B cell activation is a complex of three molecules called TAPA1, CR2 and CD19. There is also an inhibitory B cell co-receptor which is called as CD22, right? So that was about B cell receptors. Then epitopes, you already know, are the molecules which are recognized by T cells and bound to it. So there are different types of epitopes. Each epitope will be recognized by a different T cell receptor or a B cell receptor. Epitope is also known as an antigenic determinant. It is basically a part of an antigen which is recognized by our immune system. It can be recognized by BCR, it can be recognized by TCR, both. Okay? And T cell epitopes, they are present on the surface of any antigen presenting cell, which are bound by MHC molecule. And T cell epitopes, they are presented by MHC class 1 molecule and class 2 molecule. Now those which are presented by class 1 molecule, they are usually around 8 to 11 amino acid long, whereas those molecules or those epitopes which are presented by class 2 molecules, they can be approximately 13 to 17 amino acid long, right? So you can see here, class 2 MHC molecule are expressed by antigen presenting cell, and these can present much longer antigenic determinants, right? Similarly, B cell epitopes, they are also those which are recognized by B cell receptors, and the size of the epitope which is recognized by any B cell, they cannot be larger than the antibody binding size, right? And the shape usually can be much larger, but then they usually become very compact by folding on themselves in such a way that they can fit into the cleft of the binding site, right? So here is a table which gives you the difference between antigen recognition by T cell as well as by B cell. In both the cases, the process is slightly different. So please go through it for better understanding. With that, we complete T cells and B cell, T cell receptors and B cell receptors. Thank you.